we're making some really good progress on Project Rally Cuda. We got our cowl shipped in, came in from Tennessee, rust-free piece, really nice. Now when he cut the piece out of the car, I asked the gentleman to cut a little higher up on the A-pillars. We need those bottom corners where the windshield gasket sits, and on the driver's side I had a lot of rust on the inner corner, on the inner edge where the gasket sits. So we need to replace that. So fortunately, I got those pieces that came with the cowl, and that's what we're going to work on today. So follow along. This is our cowl. Came in from Tennessee. Nice rust-free car. I mean, there's nothing, no rust. Some surface rust going on in here, but that's about it. We got a lot of cleaning up to do. There's still the lip for the firewall, and there's the lips over here for the kick panels, and we have the lip back there for the windshield, lower lip back here. But what we're working on today is our windshield corners. Now this is how he cut it, kept the pieces for me, so I have that whole edge. But one thing we know is there's a seam here, and it's right along this edge here. Alright, so we need to identify this edge, get that paint out, get that lead out of there, so we can retrieve this piece intact without distorting it, so that we can then cut a patch out of this section and then weld those two lower ends together and then put that patch back in the car. Now I'm going to show you the passenger side here, and you can see with the inner cowl here is pretty rotted, and the upper cowl is still a piece kind of stuck there, and it's not terrible. It's not great either. There's no rust holes in here, but once I hit it with a wire wheel or something, we're going to see. And if we have to, we're going to replace this whole section, probably up to this point here. Get a nice easy patch. You can see where I kind of burned through here with the grinder. Now I could probably weld that and just, you know, grind that flat, but we're going to get all this out here first and see what we can do with this piece. Okay, this is the driver's side. Everything I just said that we're going to do, I've already done here. I'm taking it off the cowl. You can almost see, yep, that's where he cut it, right along this section here. I'll put it to that piece, weld it in, all the way around. Now I got one spot there I got to touch up, hit it with a weld, grind that back down, because I want that sealed up a little better. This is good across here, not too bad. I've gone ahead and ground the paint off, and I've taken a propane torch and melted all that lead out and used a wire brush to clean up that gap there. So that's beautiful, because what I'm going to do is I'll take this piece here, try and get it out. I need to replace it on the car anyway. Weld that in place, then I can put the cowl right on top of it. So we'll have to separate this first. Same on the other side. Alright, well, we popped off the one spot weld down here on the lip, and the only thing holding the two cowl pieces to this A-pillar piece is welded. There's two spots there. So we'll be able to take our die grinder, cut the welds, pull the piece out. Okay, what we're doing here is we've just started to use the torches and start to remove the lead off the cowl. And you can see we've used a wire brush and brushed a lot of that off as we've melted it out. Now we melted it into a receptacle. Now one of the things you see here is once you get the lead out, there's a little hole right there that was full of lead. See it? We're going to want to maybe weld that closed and at least take care of that with a seam sealer when we get down to that point later on. And you can see a little bit more of how the seams are put together between the A-pillar trim and the two pieces, the inner and the upper cowl. Here's a better view of it. The two cowl pieces are pretty much just spot welded to themselves. See, there's the two pieces there. You can see how they're put together, and they're spot welded together in a couple places in this area. Now, if you take a look closely, there's two kind of semicircular cutouts, and that allows for the welder to weld the two cowl pieces down to a lip on the A-pillar piece. Now here's the car, and there's a bit of rust there in that lower corner. You might be able to see it a little bit there, and it's pretty hacked up. Now I was going to cut it right along that line originally, but I had decided I was going to peel back the trim there, well, where the trim goes, the gutter, and remove the lip and take that whole piece completely out. Now, one of the things we did, we want to make sure we measured a couple of things. Took the ruler out, measured off of the gap right there, and so that way when we put the new piece back in, we can put it right back in where it needed to go. And you can see with that rain gutter pulled away, we could cut almost all the way through. Now, one of the problems with peeling that rain gutter back is it did split right there along that lower edge, and I had to weld that back up when we went back together. So here we're just doing a test fit of the piece we removed from the actual cowl. We had the upper piece that the gentleman had sent me, and we're just kind of mocking it up right now, trying to make sure we get it all in the right spots. And we're almost ready to go here, just getting a good test fit, make sure we have a good gap on both pieces so we can get a good penetration through the welds. And this is why we test fit with multiple clamps all the time, because you can see it's not quite fitting well in that one spot there, but we did fix it up a bit. Getting it ready to go. Multiple times, multiple test fits. You don't want to just rush this, otherwise it'll look horrible. Gave everything a coat of a little spray through, weld through primer, and we started to test fit it in. You can see a straight edge on the inside edge there to show that we got it really, straight all the way down. Started clamping it in place, and we started tack welding it pretty much right after that in a couple spots. Clamp on and get her done. A few more shots here with everything clamped in place nice and tight just before we started hitting the MIG. And there we go, a few stitch welds, a couple of tacks here and there just to get it held in place, and we started grinding it down and repeat. Now the weld through primer took a little getting used to. It did kind of sputter a little bit, but after you get used to it, you crank the heat up a little bit, it's not bad. Now here you go, a bunch of welds afterwards, all ground down. Not looking too bad. There's a few little spots on there that need to be cleaned up, but well, there you have it. The 8-pillar corners are done. We removed them from the cowl. Showed you how they went together at the factory. They put those pieces on first at the 8-pillar, and then the cowl set on top of it. So we just kind of reversed it, put it back together. Now we're ready to put the cowl on. We'll test fit that in another video, and we'll show you how that goes. Hopefully it goes pretty well. I'm looking forward to it. Hope you guys are too. Hope you're liking all these videos we're doing together on Project Barracuda. Please subscribe to our YouTube channel.